This is PAILs and RAILs for improving forearm supination. This exercise is great for anyone who suffers from golfers or tennis elbow, from overuse injuries, or from being at a computer desk all day. So what you're gonna need for this drill is a towel and a dowel. So for those who don't know what supination of the forearm is, it's basically rotation of the forearm so that your palm faces up towards the ceiling. To remember, think of supination as handing someone a bowl of soup. Even though you would never hand a person a bowl of soup that way, because I would assume the bowl is hot, but anyway, you're gonna take the towel and you're just gonna wedge it underneath your arm here. And you're gonna take your dowel and you're gonna grab it with a supinated or an underhand grip. You're gonna take your other hand and you're gonna just try and find your end range position of supination. And you're gonna hold this stretch for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Next, we're gonna go into our PAILs contraction. So the PAILs contraction is going to be trying to go into pronation. So you're trying to rotate that dowel back down towards the ground, but your other hand is going to be blocking that from happening. So you're going to ramp up and try to go into pronation, and you're ramping up 20%, 40, 60, all the way to your maximum safest effort. Really try to rotate from the forearm and not just trying to rotate from the wrist itself. We want that action coming from the forearm. When you get to your max effort, you're gonna hold that contraction for 10 to 15 seconds. After 10 to 15 seconds, you're gonna slowly ramp down that intensity all the way back down to 0. And then from here, you're gonna try and go into more supination. So you're trying to rotate and you're holding this for 10 to 15 seconds. And then slowly relax and then ramp down. Now breathe into your new range, see if you can get a little bit more, and then repeat that for 2 to 3 more rounds. Okay, so a couple things to be mindful of here. The reason why we use the towel under the arm is because we want to avoid going into external rotation of the shoulder, which sometimes tends to happen. Instead of the rotation happening from the forearm, some people might try to compensate and try to externally rotate their shoulder, or they'll do all kinds of weird stuff with their torso here. So we just want to make sure that we block that shoulder from going into external rotation and drifting off, and making sure that the rotation is simply happening from the forearm and not from the shoulder here. Other thing I mentioned too is that we also want to make sure that we're not just focusing on trying to rotate the wrist. We want to make sure that that rotation is happening as much as we physically can from the forearm. Now, if you are someone who's dealing with elbow pain and doing these contractions tends to flare it up, don't go all the way to 100% max intensity. Try to introduce low level intensity. So maybe start off with 20 to 40%. And as the tissue starts to heal and adapt, you can start to gradually increase that intensity to 60, 80, and then go to your max. I would recommend doing this 2 to 3 times a week for a total of 8 weeks to see how you progress, and you should see significant improvement.